everyone, Dan Sohan here. I thought I'd just share my experience with my Mavic today. I thought I'd actually lost it. I'm going to share some of the raw footage with you here. Just took it out, I've just taken off after it's homed. Searched the GPS and done its homing. I've decided to put it into tripod mode, and the plan is I'm going to drive up this kind of avenue between some trees up towards a monument, a tower at the end. So I just really wanted to come up here very slowly, very steady, and get some footage. The light's not great today, so I was really just going to have a practice at flying around this site. Now, one thing I did notice today is that the drone seems to be wanting to shift to the right on its own, so I might have to re-zero my controller on the joysticks. But it was flying quite nicely, so I'm walking along this trail just behind the drone. The idea is to move along this path, nice and steady, increase in height, and I'd like to almost reach the top of the tree line before approaching the tower itself. So we'll just take it steady up here. Now around about here I'm thinking, when I run out of battery it's going to go back to its home point, or if I decide to return to home it's going to go back to its home point. And its home point is all the way at the end of this avenue here. So I decide I think it would probably be better if I home in to my controller on my current location. So I've got no idea whether or not this is not appropriate to do. Didn't really give it a second thought. I just thought I'll rise the drone up here, get a feeling for how high it would need to go to return to home. And I decide what I'm going to do is actually change my home location from my starting point or takeoff point to my controller point. So I'm just doing that right now on the touch screen. So click on home to my controller and away my drone goes. It's gone. I'm not flying it here. I'm trying to rotate it, point it back to my direction because I know it's gone. You know, I thought I'd clip the trees here. Luckily it's kind of gone up over the trees. But I'm stood on the floor thinking, that's it, drone's gone, I've lost it. It's flying right off over these trees. I'm trying everything I can to stop it. It's telling me that I'm too far away from my home point, and I'm not really sure what's going on at this point. So I'm still fighting. I'm kind of thinking, well, where am I? How am I going to get back? Looking at the map, looking at the arrow flying away from me. I think, well, I can see the tower, so I'm going to keep an eye on the tower. And at least then I've got some form of reference to find my way back. I'm just really thankful at this point that I've climbed and that I've not hit anything. But still, I'm sprinting down that walkway now, down the avenue. Don't know if you can see me. But it's stopped now, so I think, right, okay, I'll fly forward. I'll fly towards the tower. That's great. That's great, I'm relieved now. Start heading towards the tower and I hit an invisible wall. And this is where I notice that the controller is telling me that I've flown beyond my limit. Maximum distance reached. I'm thinking, well, maximum distance from what? I'm literally the way it needs to fly, but it won't fly towards me. So at this point I think I decide, well, maybe I can just land here. Can I land? Is it safe? Oh, I'm going to think that any minute now. What is the best thing to do? At any point I'm thinking, is it going to fly away? What's going to happen? So yeah, let's come down a bit. But hang on a moment. What's underneath me? Yeah, exactly. I'm hovering right above trees here. So I'm thinking, what do I do? Can I come down in between the trees? I've still got quite a long way to jog across that field to get to it. So I'm having a quick look at the area here thinking, can I land? Now it's round about now I decide to expand the tiny little map. And that's where I noticed that when I switched it to home on the controller location, it must have grabbed the GPS location off my phone. My phone's GPS was on. I had just been using the map, And it seems to have grabbed a GPS location that's right over in the middle of that field that I just panned past. So looking at the map, my home location is recorded at about 3/4 of a mile in the opposite direction of that tower. Maybe not quite that far, but definitely further than my maximum fly limit. So I think to myself, can I get into the settings and change my fly radius? Now, I'm really concerned about changing my fly radius at this point, because changing the last setting to do with returning to home has basically caused me an epic fail. So I'm pretty sure what I do next is actually take the risk, go into the settings, and I expand that fly radius way big. I increased it up from whatever it was to something much bigger. Still probably figuring that out right now. I'm still surveying the area on the floor for somewhere to land. I noticed, I thought I'll fly towards my home location. No, home is over there in that field, but I'm nowhere near. I'm the complete opposite direction. Yeah, I still haven't figured out the radius limit yet. You can see I've just got to the tower. Probably the plan still is now to bring it down in amongst the trees. I was really not pleased. Probably flown about 10-15 times now. I've had no trouble whatsoever. The drone's completely up to date. Really come to trust it. One thing I've learnt from today is never ever change the home settings while in flight. Possibly even need to land, shut the drone down, boot it up again, and then take off to let it home. I'm not sure how the using your controller as a home location works, whether it changes as you move. That's what I expected it to do. What I wasn't expecting it to do was just pick a home location, half a mile up the road in the middle of a field, away from me in the opposite direction. So finally I've increased that range limit and I'm going to bring it down, and I'm just thankful to get it on the ground and then shut it off at this point. And massive sigh of relief at this point that we're back. There we go. Thank goodness.